This is music, and this is the grim and frostbitten winter of Wang. Welcome to another episode of Winter of Wang, which is the third season of the Summer of Simon, which is a sub-series within the First Impressions videos on this channel. This is very complicated, but what I do in these videos is I follow up on a crazy VCLT I was sent by the legend that is Simon Pieface a while back, also known as Wang from the Pieface channel. Go and check out that channel. He sent me a VCLT just full of CDs, and now I'm following up on it. So in these videos, I share with you my first impressions of the items in that VCLT. Starting with this one here, this time around, Jacob's Dream, Theater of War. Awesome cover artwork, I have to say. So this is, I would say, it's traditional heavy metal with the US power metal elements. So it has those, classic heavy metal styled riffs, but the energy of US power metal. And it's also very epic sounding. Great lead guitar work. Most of the songs, I think, are absolutely awesome, apart from a ballad that I can live without, to be honest. But other than that, this is an excellent release. A lot of, I would say, inspiration from the likes of Iron Maiden. The vocalist sounds like somewhere in between Jeff Tate and latter-day Bruce Dickinson, without being as operatic as either of those singers, but it's in that vein of singing, if you know what I mean. So this is actually a really good album. You know, if you like your epic heavy metal, if you like Megaton Sword or something like that, check out Jacob's Dream. It's actually really, really good stuff. Some of the tracks are even like borderline power thrash inspired, so it's actually a really good album in my opinion. Change of Style, Exorcising Ghosts by Japan. Not a Japanese band, but a British one as far as I understand. But this is a compilation aimed at the Japanese market, as far as I understand. The songs on here were selected to be on here because they were released in Europe but not in Japan. So this is a way to make them available to Japanese fans, I guess. Uh, that's what I've heard. I don't know if it's true at all. So it's from 84 and it's like synth, early 80s synth poppy, new wavy, alternative, pop rocky music. And I actually really enjoy this because it has a lot of those tropes from early to mid 80s, even late 80s, like pop rock. So a lot of nostalgia here, although I didn't know all the songs. Some of them I actually did recognize, there's a song called Visions of China. I have definitely heard this one before. A little bit of, I would say, Depeche Mode vibe on here as well. This is great. I enjoyed this a lot. Good fun, quality 80s kind of pop music. Definitely enjoyed it. And change of style again, slightly, I guess. Jelly Bean, just visiting this planet. So this is late 80s, early 90s, funky pop music with elements from R&B. And when I say R&B, I'm not talking about R&B the way it sounds nowadays, which, just in my honest opinion, is utter trash. But way back, R&B, it kind of has its roots in soul music and blues and so on and so forth. So back in the day, it was actually really cool. Then I would say in the 90s, in my opinion, it took a nosedive and now it's just garbage. But back then, I think it was actually really enjoyable. And this being from 87, it's that older style of R&B that you have influences from. It's not like an R&B album, but you got some pretty soulful singers on here and they're really good. You got funky guitar riffs, funky bass lines. You got drum beats that remind me a little bit of the early 90s kind of dancey pop. We're not talking like aqua dance pop. We're talking more like the drum beats you would hear in a song like, for example, Back to Life, Back to Reality, that sort of stuff. So this is good pop music. I like it, and I recognize some of the songs on here too, especially the last track called Jingo. And listening to these two here, Jelly Bean and Japan, I really enjoyed listening to them. A lot of nostalgia, but it also kind of made me sad thinking about how good I actually think a lot of pop music was in the 80s and how terrible and trashy a lot of pop music, in my opinion, is today. So it made me a little bit sad, but the nostalgia made me happy again, if you know what I mean. Change of style once more. Jules Holland, his rhythm and blues orchestra and friends, Small World Big Band. So this is, yeah, big band blues jazz renditions of classics. Um, some classic blues songs and some classic jazz songs and some classic soul and R&B songs. Also some big band renditions of rock and pop songs, which is interesting. I think the main draw on here, though, is probably the fact that they have guest vocalists on every single track, and we're talking really, really big names like Sting and Jamiroquai and Eric Clapton and Van Morrison and Stereophonics. So I think this will appeal to a lot of people if they like big band blues jazz. I actually quite enjoyed this. This is nice background music, and I actually had a blast listening to it. And this I will definitely enjoy listening to this as background music in the future. Up last, we have this one here, Kiss Off the Soundboard, Tokyo 2001. So I think this is one of these off the soundboard archival live releases that Kiss have been putting out a lot of recently. This is a gatefold, as you can see, double disc, a ton of tracks on here. Because it's an archival release, I think it is. The production is not great, but it's not terrible either. I'm not the biggest fan of Kiss. I never really got into them. I just think when I, came into my musical maturity or whatever, you know what I mean. Kiss weren't super popular, so they didn't really register on my radar. I knew about them, of course, but uh, I think it was kind of like stuff like their version of God Gave Rock and Roll to You. It was that era. So I never really got into Kiss. And I don't know if this is the best kind of gateway album into Kiss's music. If you are not a fan of Kiss already, I think this is more like for the fans. Um, I was lucky enough that the other legend that is Garage Geek sent me Creatures of the Night on cassette tape, and that's a great album. That's a great gateway album, I think. But this is interesting because it captures their farewell tour. They say that even in some of the stage banter from 2001, and they've been going. I think they're kind of finally slowing down, I guess. But farewell tour, my ass, whatever. Uh, So that's interesting, and you got the stage banter, and it sounds like the audience. It sounds like they're having a blast. I mean, they're singing along, call response, great energy in the audience. Um, and while the production is not great on here, I mean, I can definitely I could recognize a lot of the songs I already knew, like Detroit Rock City. I Love It Loud, and I Was Made for Loving You, just to give you some examples. There were also some songs I didn't know, but I could hear that they're probably good songs. Psycho Circus is an example. Lick It Up, I don't think I'd ever heard that one before, actually, believe it or not. And I could hear that those are good songs, so they kind of made me, you know, want to go back and check out the studio versions, I don't. Maybe some of these are on Creatures of the Night. I don't remember right now, but um, yeah, I'm probably gonna get into hot water with the Kiss Army for saying this now. Now, I'm not too much into who sings what, but I think Detroit Rock City, the guy who sings lead vocals on Detroit Rock City, I think it's Paul Stanley. And I'm sorry, but his voice is terrible. It's awful. Uh, and I mean, there's just something to the texture of his voice that is awful to my ears. And I know people nowadays talk about how he's lost his voice and how he can't sing anymore. That's not what I'm talking about because is from 2001. But I just don't like his voice when he does lead vocals. It sounds great when he does backing vocals, but not lead vocals. Ace Frehley also sings a couple of songs on here, and I don't think he was the best singer in the world, but there was kind of almost like a punky feel to the songs that he sings on here because of his voice. I think Gene Simmons sounds the best in terms of his vocals on here. Um, I mean, you do have like some bass solos and drum solos and guitar solos, like extra extended live stuff, and I think that's boring. And then, again, the stage banter is probably cool if you're a Kiss fan. I can kind of live without it, but it's an interesting live recording nonetheless. It is probably more for hardcore Kiss fans, but hey, it did get me interested in checking out the studio versions of some of the songs. But I gotta say, if it is Paul Stanley, I think his voice sounds terrible. And it starts out with Detroit Rock City, and he just sounds awful. And it's like that throughout the entire live album, in my opinion. But yeah, an interesting listen nonetheless, and I'm very grateful that the legend that is Simon sent that to me in this crazy VCLT. Go and check out his channel if you like physical music, media collecting, and if you like extreme metal. He's one of the most supportive and generous members of the metal corner of the VC. Anyways, for now, thanks for watching.